everybody. Welcome to Julia at Home. I'm Julia, and today we're going to talk about the weather. So this is a unit I did with my first grader and preschooler, 4 or 5-year-old at the time. He's actually almost 5 when we did this unit. And we actually did it in the winter. It's not winter when I'm filming this or when it's going to post, but we did it in January, February. But we did talk about weather in general. And so no matter where you are or what time of year it is, you can do this unit. In case you are new here, I am Charlotte Mason inspired, and so we also do nature journaling, and I will link the video here on how we do nature journaling. But I also, for my daughter's kindergarten and first grade years, decided to do some units on science topics. I will post links to the other science units we've done in the description box below. And I'm going to start with books. As usual, I have quite a few. So when I'm putting together a unit, I like to have what I call a spine, which is basically just an informational book to follow that covers different topics, and then I'll expand on those topics with other books and activities. I didn't find one book that I loved for this, but what I ended up using was the Usborne Geography Encyclopedia, and all the books will be linked below. I am an Usborne consultant, so this and some of the Amazon links will be affiliate links. In the beginning, this actually has information on weather and the seasons. Let's see if I can show you. So there's a whole, before it gets to maps and world geography and such, it has physical geography, it's planet Earth, and then, so what you would call like earth science, there's topics in here for, and it has a chapter on the weather and also a chapter on climate, which we didn't really go into much in this unit. We're just sticking to weather and what they can observe since they are so young. So some of the topics it covers here is what is weather, water and clouds, thunderstorms, windstorms, floods and droughts, freezing and frying, strange weather, and weather forecasting. So that's kind of what I used as a spine going through that. I'll try to show you some of these here. So there's lots of good pictures in here as well. And it's not a lot of information, but it's enough. It's a good amount of information for the kids. I don't think it's overwhelming. So we used this as a spine. So I didn't read this in one day. I would do like 1 page each week that we would do our science unit lesson. Another general reference book that I love for all science, nature, everything is Nature Anatomy by Julia Rothman. Oh, these are beautiful. She just recently came out with Ocean Anatomy, which I haven't gotten my hands on yet, but it's in the plan. I plan to. And this has some of the pages I used in here are the water cycle, and she has fog and mist there. She has thunderstorms, tornadoes. I love using these when we are working in our nature journals, which I do have them do as part of science, and I will come back to them. But after we do a lesson, I often ask them to write or draw something and have me write notes for them on what we have just learned about. So I do it with them. So I really like copying pictures from here when we're doing our science units. Okay, so sometimes I choose books and they don't work as well. And this was unfortunately the case with this book. This is Look at the Sky and Tell the Weather by Eric Sloan. And he has it. When is he from? I mean, these are older books, but he has several on the weather and they're really interesting. But I just found that it didn't work well for it just didn't hold my kids' attention. So this one goes through different people following a storm system. I don't know if it's a storm system or a weather system. So you can kind of see here the root of the story and the different people who are following this weather system, and basically each chapter is their observations of it as it moves, up here, down through here. So in some ways it reminded me of the format of something like Paddle to the Sea, except from different people's point of views in each chapter. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. I was kind of excited about it, but it didn't hold my kids' attention. So I think we only got through 2 chapters and then I just let it go. So I'm going to hang on to it, and it might work well in the future, and it might work better for older children. But I think first grade and preschool was just too young for this book. This one worked well, however. Gail Gibbons, if you have, elementary and preschool kids, always recommend Gail Gibbons for nonfiction, like they're not all science topics, but mostly science topics. She's fantastic. This is weather words and what they mean. And so we read this on the first day we did our weather, the first day we started our weather unit, because it really just gave us a place to start from. And I'm not expecting them to memorize like all of these concepts. We're just introducing them. When they're older, we will come back to all of this again. But so yeah, Gail Gibbons, she is fantastic. Weather words, and this is the new and updated edition. So there's an older edition of this. This one was updated in 2019 actually, so it's relatively new as of the filming of this video. So when I am designing my units, I have my spine and I go week by week through the topics. And so that was the first week is kind of like an introduction. And then I moved into the water cycle and clouds. So I'm going to start with this one here. And this is a Magic School Bus, wet all over a book about the water cycle. And of course, there are also, it's also a TV show. And so if that's something you want to incorporate, Magic School Bus has fantastic episodes about pretty much any science topic you can think of. So if you have access to that, and I believe Netflix is where the new series is. There's like a new Miss Frizzle. I think it's Miss Frizzle's niece. We watched a couple of them at some point, but you could also look at that if you're interested. There's more on weather as well. This is the book I got because I just wanted an introduction to the water cycle, and here they go physically through the water cycle. Let's see if I can get a good, yeah. They turn into droplets and they go into the clouds and they come back down to the rivers and they evaporate again. So it's really good at explaining to kids what the water cycle is. Down Comes the Rain also talks about the water cycle a bit and just rain here. So it's just another way of reinforcing the same concept. And this is a science, let's read and find out. And I get these and read them to my kids. If you have a slightly older child, this is something you could assign for them to read. My second grader currently, again, we did this when she was in first grade, but currently may be able to read this now, but I like third or fourth grade could probably easily read this. But I do enjoy when we do these units reading the books to my children. And this one's Worm Weather, and this one's just a sweet book and it's for fun. So not everything needs to be, you know, just learning a new concept and scientific and all that. I just like to throw some fun books in there too, because one of my main intentions is just to spark an interest. And then, you know, if they're interested, they'll go farther. And it's nice to have things that are just fun. And my kids also love seeing worms when it rains a lot. They used to, when we lived in a townhome complex and there was a lot of pavement and sidewalks, they used to go save the worms from the sidewalks, put them back in the grass and the dirt after rainstorms. So they liked this one. But it's written for younger kids, obviously, not very many words, and it's not at all about, you know, how or why it rains. It's just that it's raining. And on to Clouds. This is Clouds. This is and I think it's the same series, Let's Read and Find Out. Science is a stage 1. And again, I just read it to my kids. I didn't assign it to them, but you could. And it's about the different kinds of clouds. That's a very informational book. And the Cloud Book by Tommy De Paola goes over much the same information, just in a slightly different format. And I actually prefer the Let's Read and Find Out Science one a little bit better, even though in general, I love Tommy De Paola's books. I love Stregonona. So, but it's a great book. And so if you were like, let's say you're just taking books out from the library and they had this one, not the other one, then totally just get this one. I got this because I thought the baby might enjoy looking at it, and it's Little Cloud, and it's a draw with chalk book. And so it's just a little board book, again, for fun. And you can actually draw in here with chalk. And so my older two actually really enjoyed doing that. My youngest was too little at the time. She was only, maybe 6 months when we did this. So yeah, she was a little young. And I got it used as well, so it's a little beaten up, but she'll be able to use it in the future as well. And they had a fun time drawing with chalk in there. Before I move on to more books, I'm going to pause here and show you some activities that we did related to the water cycle and clouds. The first thing is that we drew the water cycle in our nature journals. And so I'll show you mine first. This is kind of, I was copying, I believe, yeah, I was copying Nature Anatomy. I marked in here that it was the picture here. And I really like doing this along with my kids as much as I can to model, but also just because I really enjoy doing it. So if you are a parent that's doing nature journaling with your children, you're just unsure, just go for it. Your pictures don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be an artist. In fact, that might actually be better for your kids to show them that it's just about the act of doing and not necessarily the final product, and that we're all in this together. So I really like that. I do it as much as I can. Sometimes with the baby, I can't always get involved in all their artwork anymore, but in the future, I will do more. And I'll just show you. So again, this is first grade, and this is what my first grader did for the water cycle, and I helped her label it. And then my son, who was 4 at the time, this is what he did. So you could see a big difference. And he's just now at 5 starting to draw things that look more like what they are. So I'm just giving him time on that. But I do ask him to nature journal with us anyway. I just obviously have lower expectations for him. And then for clouds, there are a few things I want to show you. I have these printables that I bought, and as usual, I forgot to check before I filmed where I got them from, so it'll be on the text on the screen below. But I got these posters to hang up that I hung up by our unit study shelf. Ooh. And then it came, I think this was all one kit that I got together because they all match. And they are gorgeous. It is just gorgeous watercolor artwork. These are clouds fact cards, the different kinds of clouds. And I had these out for the children to look at. And then I also have these 3-part cards. So these are like Montessori style 3-part cards where there's they're kind of mixed up right now since my kids were using them. There's the one with the label, which is kind of like a check for them. And then there's just the picture, and then there's just the word. And so this is actually, like, I had my daughter try to read these and I helped her a little bit. Some of these are really tricky to read, and there's a lot of different kinds of clouds. So this was a really tricky one, but they did their best. I think I had them working together on it, and I will save this to pull out again in the future. It's like good practice reading, and just, yeah, it's a more advanced 3-part card, I would say, but it is absolutely gorgeous. Also for clouds, I got these cloud identification window kits from Nature Watch. So this is I saved the little thing that came with it so you could see. That's what it's supposed to look like. And I will have it linked below. I like Nature Watch for science units. I like to look at their stuff. And I think this one's mine. I don't know if we labeled whose is whose, to be honest. But the idea is that you have the different clouds around the outside, and it's a viewfinder, so you could go outside and look through and see, ooh, which one does that match? And the kids immediately, so it's like cutting and gluing. Basically, it's a cutting and gluing activity. So they're both able to do that. They enjoy doing that. These are theirs. And they both started immediately identifying clouds. So that was really cool. And we're going to keep these out so that we can just continue to use them as we want. It was winter when we were doing this unit, and so being in Vermont, snow is a very important factor for me. So I spent a week on snow, and I have several books on this. The first one is an Usborne, it's a very first questions and answers list, lift the flap. What is snow? So it's really simple, lift the flap, and I really like these. I think these are great for preschoolers. I have a couple of them, and I'm gonna see what else they have and see if I can make an argument to myself that they're relevant as well. I just think they're really good. And now at a 2nd grade level, my daughter can read these herself. And to her siblings, and then they can do the flap. The little one here on my back, who is just about 15 months, is a little rough with the flaps. at this point. So, but they are sturdy flaps. Like they're sturdier than some other books, but yeah, she's going to have to wait at least a couple more months before she can play with these on her own. But my older two have enjoyed them for a while. So what is snow? Okay, this is another one that's just for fun. This is Pippa and Pal in the Winter Snow. Pepper and Pine had it in one of her videos, and I just thought it looked the sweetest, and it really is. And now I want all of the Pippa and Pal books. So this is just a really sweet book. And this is in board book format, so this will continue to be great for the little one. And we also have some other Daniela Dresser books. She's like Little Fairy and In the Land of the Fairies and Elves, I believe. Different books, and I really like her illustrations. I just think they're really pretty and sweet. Okay, more of an informational book now. This is The Secret Life of a Snowflake. There's so much good information in here, and it's actually not, it looks really thick and there's a lot of information, but it's not as dense as you would think. So you can see the amount of text is not as much, and the pictures are just gorgeous. And this one shows you how to make a paper snowflake, which we meant to do and I don't think I got to. So if you are doing a weather unit and doing snow, I recommend doing a paper snowflake. And then this is missing its cover. I will put a picture here of its actual cover because it's nice. This is Snowflake Bentley, and this is great for wherever you live. It's about a man, Snowflake Bentley, who studied snowflakes, and he actually figured out how to take pictures of them. And it's just the story of his life. And it's especially great for us here because he lived in Vermont and did all this in Vermont. And so we read this in conjunction with going to a historic site that shows some of his work, and they actually have like the camera he used there. And my favorite part, which was not relevant to this, but my favorite part was actually seeing the quilt that his mother made for him, and it was like all these really tiny strips that she had hand sewn. Anyway, so I digress. So in conjunction with this and the Snowflake Bentley book, I suggest getting another book, and I don't have it because I took it out from the library, but it's just the book where Snowflake Bentley has a collection of his snowflakes, and I'm forgetting the name of it, but I will have the text here and I'll try to link it below. And it is just gorgeous. Again, our library has it, and so yours might too. I would look into that. Activities for snow, as I mentioned before, I recommend doing paper snowflakes, and I don't remember if we got to it or not, and I didn't take any pictures if we did. So I can't say whether we're sure whether we did that, but I recommend it. And obviously playing in the snow, we did that a lot. And sugar on snow, if you live in a place where there's snow, doing like you boil maple syrup. You get, like, when it's snowing, you put out a tray and get fresh snow, and then you boil maple syrup and pour it over it. We have not succeeded in this yet. I don't know why we have so much difficulty, but we will try again this year. Ours just kind of melted the snow. It's supposed to like freeze and turn into basically maple candy. And they talk about doing this actually in Little House in the Big Woods. So if you've read that, you've heard of that. But that's like a fun activity just to do when it's snowing and relevant to snow. A fun thing to nature journal if you're learning about snow is the different shapes. So this is really simple. I didn't really have much time, so I just did really quick sketches. And I think these are from the and I think this is from the Secret of Snowflakes book. But Nature Anatomy also has some great different kinds of snowflake too. So I can't remember which one I used for this one, but it's a cool activity. I didn't make my kids do this one. I feel like it's a little bit more advanced, and it could be really cool to do as well in the context of geometry. One of the reasons I actually decided to do the weather unit this year was that my son asked to learn more about storms, so I had to include that in our unit. So I have a couple books here. I've got the Storm book, which is just a nice, it's like not super informational, but it's just a story about a boy watching a storm roll through. And it's got pictures of it. It's got lots of big pictures. So, yeah. And then there's a rainbow at the end. That's the Storm book. And then I have two Gail Gibbons books. I have Hurricanes and I have tornadoes. So we learned a bit about hurricanes and tornadoes. There's also some information on the in the Osborne Geography Encyclopedia that we read. And we also just nature journaled what we learned about them. So in terms of what we did in the nature journals for storms, my daughter was not really as interested in storms, but I just asked her to draw something. And so she ended up doing a really quick hurricane, an abnormal cloud, I guess, and a tornado with the eye. So again, she was in first grade when she did this, and she just wasn't interested. So she just took 5 minutes, and that's all I asked of her. My son, who again was 4 at the time, he did a storm cloud. Here's the storm cloud, and this is hail. And I don't, let me see if he did something else too. He tends to do a lot of random things in his book as well. It's something we're working on. Okay, so here we go. Hurricanes, it says lots of water causes flooding. And I believe this might be a tornado with lightning coming out of it, which didn't get labeled for some reason. But yeah, so that's what he did for that. And I did journal both with some more notes. So like, this is what I would like them to work towards, maybe, you know, upper elementary, middle school years, of what I would like their nature journaling to look more like, but I don't expect it of them now. I learn a lot as we go too. A couple more fun things to round out the unit. Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs. And there's also a movie of this now that you can watch. And I think there's also a sequel and a cookbook, which I did not get. But if you really like these and wanted to go farther, it's a classic. I mean, I remember this from when I was younger. If you haven't read it, I suggest, you know, taking it out of the library. They almost definitely have it. And it's about a town where they don't cook all of the food. It comes down from the sky in different weather, but it starts getting erratic and creating a problem. So that's Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I got this weather bingo kit, which was actually more fun than I thought it was going to be. We really enjoyed playing it. And it has, not only does it have all these pictures, but it has information on it. So I'm going to see if I can, pull out some of the cards here. So like, this is hurricanes. So you pull this, and then I also read the back to them whenever we took turns pulling the cards for bingo, and then did that. It also just comes with these little blue markers that you can use on the bingo game. So you have everything you need in the box. The bag did not come with the box. This is a bag of that. Whenever possible, I also like to involve art into our unit studies. And so for this weather study, we did weather peg dolls. And again, I was inspired by Hannah at Pepper and Pine, so I will have her linked down below. And I just brainstormed with my children, and we thought about which weather peg dolls we wanted to make. And we came up with 9 ideas. And so we each took design ownership of 3. And my first grader chose clouds, rainbow, and sun. My son chose snow, hail, and stormy. And I was left with rain, fog, and wind. And so we sat together and we painted the peg dolls, like the base of them. So you can see my daughter made a rainbow of colors on the rainbow one, which looks gorgeous. And then we went through my materials and brainstormed together, and they told me what they wanted as far as the hair and we decided what they should mostly have capes and the hats. So they designed them, and then I executed them for them. So I really like how the rainbow one came out. There's just lots and lots of rainbows involved here. And here's Sunny. So she told me, and she know what she wanted, brown braids, and she chose the colors of the cape and the crown that she wanted a crown, and all that. Let's see, for hail and snow, I did end up suggesting some things for my son. He was just really excited about stormy, so he just wanted like a big black cloak, and we added like a lightning streak along the back. And then I decided to add, which you can't really see in here, but he does have black bangs with like a yellow streak in them, because I thought the yellow streak was cool. So that's stormy. And so he did paint hail and snow, and then I took a little initiative on the designs here. Hail has a kind of concentric rings. If you were to cut hail in half, that's what you would see. So that's what I did there with little hail drops, and snow, little snowflakes. This was my daughter's idea for cloudy. We were like, what can we find? So I think we used like stuffing from something that was coming out and put it on there. And then for myself, I had fog, which was really hard. So I might have copped out a bit on that one. I did kind of like a gray, blue, and then just like a white cloak. And then for rain, I wanted to make it kind of similar to hail and snowy, with its own little cape there with raindrops. And then my favorite is wind. I think I just really like the little bonnet, I don't know what you call that, and also like the colorful swirls on her, because it's kind of like the colors of the wind. But anyway, she's my favorite. I did not film myself making these because I am just learning how to do it. So I am by no means an expert. But again, if you go to Pepper and Pine, linked below, she has some great tutorials on how to make peg dolls. And something that I hadn't considered before I did these was these are all very pale, right? So I'm going to, in the future, when I make peg dolls, try to make some different skin tones, so that we have a more diverse array of peg dolls. And other than our peg dolls, which have been displayed on our mantle for quite a while now, all these books and the activities, once we completed them, were displayed on our unit study shelf so that the kids could see them. It's a really nice visual, and they can also take books out and look at them again as they want. So those are the resources I have for weather. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment below. She's gonna say hi, so make sure you click that thumbs up button, right? Say thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already and you don't want to miss new content. Also, if you want to get notified every time a new video comes out, click the bell, and I will talk to you later. Say bye-bye. Oh, do you see a bug outside? Bye-bye. Talk to you later.